Good evening at home, wherever you are, and welcome along to Maconi Entertainment coverage of the USTCC Touring Car Championship on iRacing. We'll be taking these classic Kia Optimas, some of the most historic touring cars on the service, and still a right handful to drive around an all-time classic of the service, Summit Point Raceway. Maui Burrows on Sky Shrek here today to bring you the action here at Summit Point. Sky, it's a great day for some front-wheel drive around here.
Oh yeah, these cars are a ton of fun. The Kias are, in my opinion, some of the most fun cars on iRacing, and taking them to a track like Summit Point, where passing can be difficult, where you have to be willing to put down some big moves, is going to be a lot of fun.
And it all happens here at Summit Point. Every iRacing driver has flown around here at some point in time, and it's filled with iconic corners from the beginning to the end. Look out for the fast first sector, immediately followed by the extremely tight outer section before flying through that final turn 10. It's an absolute treat, but I'm not very used to it in front-wheel drive machinery. I remember driving it in the TCR series some time ago, but those cars are quite a bit easier to handle than these. These cars can be a handful with their front-wheel drive on the and mostly their lack of ABS on the track. I've been called out many a time, and with open setups available in the usual iRacing series, people are very used to the peculiarities of some of these. But single class racing this time, though, Cadillac's on the track, and around 10 entrants in today's race. We'll be running 30 minutes around this action-packed track. What do you look out for most in this car track combination, Sky? There's a whole lot of hair-raising sections, and a whole lot you're going to struggle to get this car around if not set up on the edge.
I think it's going to take some big moves from these drivers, because this is, I mentioned earlier, this is a track that can be very difficult to pass at, and I think you're going to see it tonight. I mean, this track is narrow. It's got a lot of really tough corners that you're really going to have to wheel this Kia Optima around, and it's going to come down to which driver is able to just wheel it around the best and do the best job of getting this car where it needs to go and making the moves they need to make.
This quick right-hander, very easy to understeer through, as you've just seen firsthand, leads into a much tighter section that's very hard to pass on. I used to have some of these corner names down to memory. Got to use the brakes well and lean on, and that's Austin Run. We're still running for a few minutes of practice here on the track, and that's a better take of that turn. You'll be understeering a little bit if you don't manage to power perfectly through this tight section. I'm going to get the corner names in just a second. Summit Point should come absolutely to hand. Sometimes even I lose the names. I don't quite live in West Virginia. I don't quite know the area off the back of my hand. It's been a quite calamity corner here, this last one, and these cars are very drafty in the right trim on the right circuit. You're going to slow down, pitch it in, use the whole track on the way out. You get a lot of tarmac off the circuit, and then fly down, and already we're getting some side-by-side battling in practice, just to show you how these drivers are going to chase each other.
I'm seeing so many off tracks just in this practice session. I mean, you're seeing cars struggle to exit the corner. They're running wide on exit and getting two tires in the grass on what feels like about half the corners on this racetrack. So you're going to need to clean it up if you want to have good pace in the race. You got to keep it on the racetrack, especially through some of those higher speed corners, or else you could end up not just damaged, but wrecked.
Drivers have been doing a lot of practice alongside this race. Our fastest driver so far has been Ken Kurtz. I believe 12 have actually hit the grid in total over the session. Not quite sure how many that we're going to get, but just worth shouting out as well that we need to let you know that this series is brought to you by GoGoGear.com, with custom graphics, apparel, awards, and promotional products, alongside Hengst Filtration. I've not been given ad reads for these ones, unfortunately, but we've been given those two brands, and we're going to have to give them a shout out over the course of the race. And I'd like to thank them, of course, for bringing the show here today alongside the league. Practice nearly wrapping up. There's quite a wide spread of lap times on this field, and quite a wide spread of experience on the track, but hopefully drivers had a lot of time to work out what they're doing. Many have done up to 20, some over 40 here on the circuit, and we're going to head into a 4-lap qualifying session for these drivers before we then have one more chase in a 30-minute sprint race on the circuit.
Yeah, 15 minutes of qualifying and 4 laps, so you've got a lot of chances to get your lap in here, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see quite a few laps in this qualifying session end up invalidated based off somebody maybe running off the road or having some kind of problems, like we see right there for the 12 car of David Brown. That is going to be a recurring issue, not just in qualifying, but really all night long. It's going to be treacherous out there.
Do have no fast repair in case you get into trouble around here, and you get an instant point penalty at 20, hoping that none of those are going to be required over 30 minutes of this circuit. It's going to be plenty of laps. Practice is running out, and we're going to have a nice ride-on-board lap as we wrap over into the qualifying. Each driver gets 4 laps. They'll be running them all at the same time, so we're going to see some times flood in over the course of the session. And we're going to just have to do our best to follow on the circuit as the session transitions and we get ready for qualifying. I'll try and get you an onboard lap with Ken Kurtz. I actually got the corner names, and amazingly, the first one is called Turn 1. So count on them to be imaginative. Just first drivers coming out. This is Gary Sheehan.
American
Thomas
ingenuity.
J. Peter is here. Mitchell McConnell. I'm trying to get Ken Kurtz our fastest in practice, but it might not go, so I might have to give you Gary Sheehan here. Talk me through what you need to know for a lap around Summit Point.
You got to get way on the brakes down here for this first corner, especially in the Kia Optima. I mean, this corner is kind of hard to drive regularly, but when you're driving the Optima with its front-wheel drive tires, it just doesn't really want to turn through there at all, so you got to really back it up, get really slow. This is a weird corner. You want to carry a lot of momentum out of here, but again, front-wheel drive, going to be difficult. He does a good job there to bounce it off both curbs and get that car out of there as fast as possible. This one's going to be tricky. You're going to have to slow down a little bit here to make sure you don't catch the grass and then get right on the brakes through this left-hander. It's a good job right there. Now switch it back to the right. This is a section I think we're going to see a couple cars grab the grass on over the course of this one. It's another S's section up here. It's a really fast section in a Formula car. In a Kia Optima, you're going to see a lot less time on the throttle than you might see in other cars, and I think that is a grass clip for Gary Sheehan that would likely invalidate his lap if this was not an out lap. You go flying through this last corner, you got to slow it way down in these cars, and I think we're going to see some more grass clips out of there as well as he finishes the lap.
Common trait with these front-wheel drives is setting them up properly. Set the brake bias up at the front and you're not getting any turn-in, but you really want to use the brake bias to the rear and abuse it to the best you can. You can get a lot of turning out of these cars, but it's induced by making the rear very unstable with an appropriate brake bias on the setup. The best drivers are on such a knife edge that you think the back's just going to drift out every time you go through a turn, get on the power, and the grip comes back. It feels almost like the reverse of driving a car. Every driver has just finished their out lap. I believe Sheehan will be the first to actually set a timed lap on the circuit. He's just ahead of 56 Thomas Peter on the track. And then the times are going to start flooding in. Drivers get 4 attempts, so if they get an off track, it's not the end of the world for them, like it often can be on a 2-lap iRacing sprint setup. Do indeed have around 12 drivers to make this worth it. Gary Sheehan now flying through the last turn, which is Paddock Bend. Got one of those names right. We've also got Wagon Bend right after turn 1. It's the chute that leads into the carousel. That's the word that was eluding me earlier on in the show. I've got it down already. There's more tarmac off track than you think there, so that's probably okay. But Gary Sheehan will be first to cross the line. We'll see if that's even a legal time on the board. It'll start popping up on the left. It is. It's a 1:15.858, but Thomas Peter looks like he was faster on it. Let's get that timing tower up and start unlocking these times. It's going to be quite hard to track everybody making it round. Ken Kurtz, fastest in practice, was fastest the first time around. Michael McConnell didn't set a legal one going around. He's going to take a little bit more time to run. Here's on board with Ken Kurtz, who was the fastest out in practice, expected to perform the best in the race today.
Yeah, and we'll see him here as he continues to do a good job in qualifying. Just barely about a 1/10 of a second better than Thomas Pitcher back there for that second position. Ken Kurtz will look to keep it off the grass here. A little bit loose there. That car could pretty easily bite if you catch too much curb. But he'll get it around okay. Maybe could have used a little bit more of the track on exit there before sliding down into this corner. He makes his way around. It's looking pretty good up through the S's. I would wager he's going to get at least 3 out of these 4 laps in good time.
current prediction lap, this number can be terribly wrong, but I like seeing what it likes to gamble on. This lap ain't too much faster than the last one, but if he gets a good exit out from the end, he could end up for the 113 because Thomas Peter just jumps him for the 114. So Ken's going to need to make it up good, and he's not going to beat it this time around. A 114.979. They are very, very close on the board. It's a 902 versus a 979. The two are absolutely not done dueling with each other. Thomas Peter and Ken Kurtz, you can very much see that their cars are on the knife edge I described. They have a much more tendency to really slide through the corners and look like they're going to spin out on you. Further down the grid, big skill range in this lobby. You have drivers like Razor, Ashram just getting laps, and the 117. We might be running into lap traffic over race distance, given 30 minutes, which could be fascinating in itself. Thomas Peter still making it around. Ken Kurtz will finish his lap just behind. Find out whether Thomas can improve his lap.
Well, we'll see. He's going to make his way back down to the start-finish line now. Only a little bit left for Thomas Peter. As he makes his way through the final corner. He's got to keep it on the track here. I think that's good enough that he's not going to get a penalty that would discount his lap. He's going to cross the line in just a moment. 114.826, so very slightly faster. Ken Kurtz is going to airmail it, and his lap will not count there. He got too much grass.
And he lost plenty of time doing it. Actually, no,
he
did actually make it.
Oh, it's going to go top of the board.
We're going to
he did not get a 0x on that. He went top of the board. Okay.
Going to have to check how that one happened, to be totally honest. This was the exit you were looking for. I think he does get away with it. Going around there.
That was close.
There's like a whole car's width worth of tarmac on the outside that turn that you carry a lot of speed. And if the lighting isn't quite right, it doesn't catch you right. You can't really see whether or not a driver has gone off. The ball's back in Thomas's court, though, as a result.
We're about halfway through this qualifying session now. Drivers making their fourth or third laps, depending on where they are on the racetrack. I think we've got almost everybody on 4, except for Nick Dawson-Ladden and Austin Ron. Or excuse me, Austin Ron is on his 4th. David Brown also still on his 3rd. Thomas Pitcher will go to complete his qualifying here. We'll see if he can beat Ken Kurtz. He will not. It's slower. It's a 1:15.133, and Ken Kurtz is looking like he's going to get pole of this race. What's he going to do here on this last lap?
Didn't run wide. I think
it's slower as well. Yeah, he had some problems there. He's just going to slow it down. He knows he's got pole, and he'll take it.
Here's Enrique Ferreira trying to catch just a little bit better. A 1:15.518 is actually an improvement on his last time. Doesn't make him up any places. And Austin Brown runs slow on the last lap. It's a 1:16 over his fastest 1:15.4. So that's also not going to count. There's another pitter in the lobby. There's Thomas J. Pitter and Tom Pitter. So that is we go to our best to try and keep on top of these ones and make the most sense of it, because those are two family members indeed with the same first and last names. Tom Pitter, I think he has finished all his laps. He might just be running more for the love of the game. Alias Sham yet to set any laps on the board. He's been off track on every single one. I'd love to see him actually make one. Does seem to be having trouble controlling the car, but there are some rookies in this lobby, some people that are brand new to iRacing and just making it through this qualifying and race session is gonna be a great achievement for them. He's not going to set a qualifying time with that wide run off the track. We will be seeing him in the race very, very soon. And I think everyone has someone to race, even if not everybody is going to quite make it to the top. Here's Andrew Milbar. Don't think he can actually set another, but he's going around anyway. Every lap of practice you can get, especially when you're given 15 minutes here.
Yeah, we've got 3 cars who are yet to settle out. Timothy Hunter, he's done. He made it through all 4 laps, had 4 0Xs, will not set a lap. Michael McGolligan is about to take the line to start his 4th lap. We'll see if he is able to put a time on the board there.
I believe.
No, he isn't. So he is on his 4th lap. He has not set a time yet.
I believe
and
Michael
Sham
got a black flag
is on his 3rd and has not set a time yet.
I think Michael got a black flag for qualifying scrutiny. iRacing doesn't like it when you do certain things out of the pit lane, and it can disqualify you until you return to the pit. Nick Dawson-Latham actually jumps to P3, though, with a good time over Gary Sheenan, making up P3. it's now a slightly peaceful time on the track as we try and work out who else to follow. I think Sham can actually make another qualifying attempt, so got to keep an eye.
He's on his third.
Yeah, but he is going to need to slow it down properly for this corner. Sometimes slower is faster if we actually want to get a time done. He has made it through that corner about washing wide.
Yeah, you're right. There is a black flag for Michael McGolligan, so I'm not exactly sure what the deal is there, if he just maybe doesn't know that he has it and is running laps anyway. I would think if you got a black flag like that, you would come back down to the pit lane and you would reset it so you could actually set time on your laps. But as it stands, he is not going to get a lap time in the 36. Here's Learsham, and that is going to be a 0x. He is way off the road. He will have one more try to try and run a clean lap and set a time.
I'm rooting for Learsham, I really am. Off-tracks are the bane of my existence. Even after years on the iRacing service, I do somehow find a way to touch the grass on every single lap.
That'll be it.
I think that is going to be another touch of it, though. He's gonna try and make it round for good measure, though, and I too would try and make it round for good measure. He's the only car to watch that's moving. Apart from David E. Brown, actually David E. Brown has another lap he can be making up here. He is running his final one. His fastest lap, a 1:16.045. Only made it to 1:17.736 last time around. Didn't catch the first part, obviously, but this could be a viable lap. We have already seen a few jump ups on the field. It's going to need to be a half-second improvement to beat Enrique Friera, though.
Yeah, David Brown's still out there. Reza Arsham is back in the pits. I don't think he has another lap left. I think that 11 car is done. David Brown trying to make it out. That is going to be cutting it very close on going wide. We'll see if he can beat a 1:16 here. The answer is yes. He'll go a little faster, but he won't improve from P7. It'll just put him a little bit closer to Ferriera there.
Learsham getting every turn of practice he possibly can on the track. I don't know if this one's going to count because we did see the off on turn 1, but I have seen iRacing not give away off tracks for weirder.
Oh, he got it.
Cross the line. It is a legal lap. It's a 1:24.089. It's going to put him ahead of Michael McCullough, who actually did set, a 1:20 on his last. That's the best place to go. That's the best place to go, in my opinion.
You get a nice little break. I mean, we're in West Virginia, so I'm kind of assuming that if you fly off in that direction, you just fall off a mountain. That's all there is in West Virginia. Take me home, country roads.
It's a pretty good track to have in West Virginia, though. You got to be honest. Like, if you were to have any track, I'm in the area of my country where we only have Brands Hatch and nothing else. Very good track to have, but I would also have a Summit Point in my backyard.
Have you ever been to West Virginia?
No, I've only been to like one U.S. state, and it wasn't West Virginia.
Oh, it's in the fun part of West Virginia that's like a little handle, and it like juts into Virginia and Maryland. That's quite fun. I kind of
don't know much about America other than the two borders. I kind of know what's on the left. I kind of know what's on the right. I can't really tell you what's between them.
Yeah, so we have a bunch of states with really weird panhandles on them. West Virginia is one of them where it like reaches in towards Washington, and this track is basically on the border of West Virginia and Virginia. In fact, I'm going to do a little bit of quick maths here on the rundown to turn 1, and we're going to break out the Google Measure Distance tool. You are approximately 1,600 feet from Virginia as you make your way through turn 1. Fun fact.
I think that's the most fun fact I'm going to hear all day, actually.
That's 0.3 miles, or in your fake units, 0.48 kilometers.
No, that is, I know it's late for me, but like that one's a little bit mean. My feelings are hurt. That's all I'm going to say.
It's quite fun.
We use miles on the road here. You don't understand. I have to explain it to Americans that like British people have this unusual fusion of units where they will use some metric and then also just use miles per hour on the road, and we just intuitively understand that. And like science can't really explain that.
I think it's kind of fun that if you crash hard enough, you could theoretically end up in Virginia.
I don't think I'd be conscious to like notice being in Virginia.
I've been to actually both of these states. Fun fact.
Just a minute to go on qualifying, by the way. just to let you guys know that every driver has finished their laps, and we're just watching Andrew Milbach just make up more practice laps on the road. We can't show you results until practice is wrapped up, but due to the magic of technology. So you're going to enjoy 1 or 2 laps. Average lap around 114, 115 for the fastest drivers. So we're going to see quite a few laps of this done done in 30 minutes. Upwards of around 25 laps or so. Get an estimation very, very soon that's more precise on the dot, but there's going to be a lot of runs around there, and obviously the run into some of these turns, it's going to get very, very, very tight.
25 seconds to go here at Summit Point. Did you know West Virginia has 4 official state songs, only one of which is Take Me Home Country Roads?
And the other 3, I presume, are copies of Take Me Home Country Roads.
Actually, the West Virginia Hills. West Virginia, my home sweet home, and this is my West Virginia.
I can't fault someone for loving their state that much. Like, I can't fault them, you know? Like, they love it.
Yeah.
And that's all that...
Well, I live in Oklahoma, and our state song is Oklahoma from the musical.
Just take it from somewhere else, I guess, the whole time. Here's your starting grid for the race. Ken Kurtz lines up in P1 next to Thomas J. Pitter. We use Thomas and Tom to try and make sense of it. Nick Dawson Latham lines up in P3 next to Gary Sheenan. Austin Rahn is next to Enrique Fiera in 5th and 6th. David Brown next to the other Tom Pitter in 7th and 8th. Andrew Mibratz lines up next to Razor Arsham in 10th. Alice Sharms in 11th to Michael McGoughlin. Sky Shrek accidentally signed up for the lobby, and if Timothy Hunter makes it, he will show up. I mean, it's one button away. I've done it to like major iRacing leagues as well in production, you know. I've been on the grid. That's all that matters. Happens to all of us.
We're gonna get ready to go here from Summit Point for 30 minutes of racing action, and this is gonna be a tight one. I mean, we said it earlier on in the broadcast, but Summit Point, it's a very claustrophobic racetrack. It's a track where you need to be aggressive to make moves because there's not a lot of opportunity for you to get them done otherwise unless you put it all on the line. And with these cars at this track, with the amount of off tracks that we saw in that qualifying session, these drivers are going to have to be pretty much perfect if they want to grab the win around here.
Waiting for a handful of drivers to grid. I think Andrew Mirbash will hit the grid. I'm not too sure Sky Shrek will be hitting the grid today.
I fear I won't be.
I don't know how long they hold the cars for, basically. I just need to, like, build you up. And
24 seconds until we hit the lights come on.
I'm enjoying the tension in the room, actually, together. You know, holding it up here. 30 minutes of Summit Point Raceway. We're gonna have approximately 24 laps. I was almost exactly on the dot. That's a lot of runs around here and a lot of chance for things to go wrong. But hopefully, we'll make it out of here in one piece. Drivers just about to finish lining up now. 3, 2, 1, and we'll begin our starting sequence. Lights are on. And they're off. Green flag on the road. And that's a very, very slow launch for Ken Kurtz. Nick Dawson Latham has a fast one, though. He's looking like the Ferraris of the next F1 regulation with how fast he got off the block. And he's storming into turn 1. Ken Kurtz almost running right into the rear of Thomas Pitter ahead. Doesn't quite. That top 3 making quite a good gap away as Austin Rahn there. 8 attempts back. I think, were they slow into turn 1 or was it an incident? I think they may have just been slow into turn 1. The battle raging up ahead. This top 3, I think they will be fighting for quite a lot of this race. Single file for now. Thomas Pitter was able to stay ahead of the field as we head down into the chute. Tough corner. You're very fast and then straight into a braking zone. Can look up easily. Every driver makes it and gets it away from there. Nick Dawson almost sort of having a bit of a wobble on the corner exit. Looks like we've just about sorted out the pack here for now. Near the back, we have Sean battling very hard with Michael McColligan. They're quite far back from the field, but they are having a right battle of it themselves. We'll try and catch all the battles on the field, but Nick Dawson Latham jumping the field on the first lap.
There was a very minor turn 1 incident between Alir Sham and Michael McColligan, but both cars made it away cleanly. I don't think anyone even managed to go around. As you see both cars really scraping that dirt on the exit of the final corner there, that's going to be a theme all night long. Drivers are going to be dropping 2 tires off the track there, trying to hold on And you got to be careful about that, because at 20 incident points, you get a black flag. So you got to be on it all race long. As Ken Kurtz is under pressure from Nick Dawson Latin back here in the battle for P2. It's going to be Kurtz on the inside. He'll have the advantage, and he will get clear into the corner. Dawson Latin will immediately try to pounce, but he's going to be stuck behind Ken Kurtz for now. Next passing zone is down through this left-hander, but Dawson Latin is nowhere near close enough. Nick Kurtz is going to hold that second spot for now.
His car's very, very drafty down the straight, and that's probably how Ken Kurtz was able to get the advantage going into turn one. It was quite the bold dive, but you'd be surprised at how effectively the slipstream is modeled, more than you'd expect. I love what I see on that car, by the way. Certified wheat. I am a certified anime fan in the chat. I respect it from Nick Dawson-Latham. He's behind what appears to be the Jelly Bean Gumball car, as we might get another shot down this straight. Oh, it's a poor exit for Ken. Very, very, very wide. He's going to drop position after position after position. Lots of understeer present in these cars as you overcook it. He's all the way back to 6th, make it even 7th.
And even Ken Kurtz, the dominant driver in both practice and qualifying, is not immune to those big moments out of the corner that we've seen come out of pretty much every driver in the field at some point during practice or qualifying. He's loose again there back in 7th, and it is going to be a long way back up the grid for the driver of that 02 car if he wants to get anything out of this one tonight. As Thomas Petrie continues to lead this race 1.5 seconds back to Nick Dawson-Latin, and that gap is only getting wider as the 56 car is putting on a show 3 minutes in.
I had to get a couple replays of that race start, because there were quite a few interesting moments that came out of that one, especially the launch from Lawson's car. Now, I compared it to what I saw at F1 testing today. If anyone spotted it, the Ferrari seems pretty fast launching off the line. So I thought red car making a fast launch off the line, that is suspicious. It's difficult to launch these cars properly. There's a lot of power in the front axle, but you can just see it's actually not even that the launch is extraordinary, but it's that the leaders is very, very, very poor. He just makes no pace out of it at all. He's passed easily into the first turn. It's Elias Sharm further back as well in the chopper. We didn't quite catch what happened in the back of the field. He had a lock-up on the brakes. These cars do not have ABS, unlike the TCRs. And then, I think that may have been Timothy Hunter just sort of colliding there with Michael McColland in order to send him down and out. Quite easy to overcook this first turn. Already trying to dodge the red car on the other side. Does not make the turn into the corner.
And that is kind of the consequence of turn one here at Summit Grove. You can get into a lot of trouble here very quickly because it is such a narrow corner and it is such a slowdown from the two very fast corners that immediately preceded on the racetrack. And you saw that right there. It's always hectic at a start here at Summit Point, especially in these cars with the not great brakes that they have and the not great handling that they have. I feel like it's a lot easier for something like that to happen right off the jump.
It's not a jelly bean car, it's wet paint all over the car. Respect that in itself, but Ken Kurtz has been jumping left and right trying to get past Enrique Friera, not quite getting it done. Here's where I think you might get more of a slipstream than you expect. Thomas Pitter sets the fastest lap on the track, and you can just get a run on someone if you get behind them. Races on some very slipstreamy tracks, and you'd be surprised at the runs you can get. Now Ken Kurtz is going to have to fight his way up because he is a very, very fast driver over a single lap. We've seen this replicated multiple times already. Poor exit out of that turn, though. It's going to leave Enrique Ferreira the chance to potentially strike back. No, he's going to be clear. He's going to make a fight up the field. I'd expect to see him at least in the top three before the end of this race. I think he is very, very fast, and he is going to fight for it.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see him back on that podium. First, he's got to overcome a 3.3 second gap, currently separating him from the back bumper of that 12 car of David Brown. Gap's about 0.7 seconds or higher all throughout the field as Kurtz is pulling away from Enrique Ferreira. Already got that gap down to 2.8 to David Brown, so the O2 very quickly gaining some time. He had that big off track, but I don't think he has any damage on that car, so he should be able to recover fairly quickly if he can just keep it straight, keep the car under him, and not make too many mistakes.
Our fastest lap, Thomas J. Pitter with the 1:14.863, and make it an even faster one at 1:14.828. Not that much faster, but just a little bit. Ken Kurt's still not there. He did have to batten his way into turn 1 in order to make that one happen. I would like to see how that gap's going to go down. It's 2.4 seconds now. Make a mental note at home. Here's Razor Arsham ahead of Andrew Milbach. And when you see these cars do these sort of errant twitches, you may wonder why do they do that. And the simple answer is they are scary under the brakes. You touch them, if you do them a little bit too much, because I've talked about the brake bias, you're abusing the slipperiness of a low brake bias. It does mean that you get the car being twitchy to get it turning. Now, I've just seen a bit of an error from Gary Sheenan. This has opened up just how close Ken Kurtz can get to. I think he had a slip by himself here, though.
Well, let's see what happened to that 6 car of Gary Sheenan. Whoa, big moment down there. I think he might have just caught the grass a little bit. That is an incredible save, though. Look at that. I mean, he was all the way pretty much in a gravel patch when he got that thing back going.
Very counterintuitive to save these cars because you don't get off the power, you get on it. Really good lock on the wheel, though, on instinct. Stays in the race, has lost places, and now obviously under immense pressure from Ken Kurtz, who probably appreciates the free ride up to the back bumper. Won't have to make up too much time. He's going to keep chasing. 5 attempts, 4 attempts, 3 attempts. This is a big attempt at an outbreak. Gary Sheenan there with some tyre smoke. Locks up a little bit on entry, but actually saves it in time to exit this corner appropriately. Still keeping an eye as well on Andrew Mibash and Razor Arsham. They are close, and they could pounce on each other at any moment around it.
Wouldn't be surprised to see that battle form here over the next few laps as the gap between those two cars has gotten itself under a second. I think Arsham just needs to be a little bit more consistent. Both cars are going to get a little bit of an off track there. Like I said earlier, you only get 20 off tracks in this race, and with a little bit of an off track issue and some contact, you could hit that pretty easily, particularly if you're one of these drivers closer to the back of the field. He's struggling a little bit. There goes Ken Kurtz around in the corner after contact with Gary Sheehan.
That's a lot of his work. It's just got undone again. He's fast on the track, but he is struggling when around some of these other cars. He's down to P8 now, and he's running just so close to the bumper that if the car in front brakes because they're trying to get rotation, they're trying to turn, it's so possible that you are going to get yourself spun at that point. You might need to give a little bit more clearance space to tell you to give more on the highway. I know it is the racetrack though, but just unfortunate error here. Little break up ahead, not really expecting it. It must have just been for rotation up ahead. You sort of use it to turn the car around here, and that sort of sent Ken back. But speak of the devil over here, he's not done working his way up. As now he's among Razor and Andrew, and he's going to try and push past Andrew about as quickly as he possibly can. Side by side, inside line, very advantageous here. I don't want a car getting turned there, almost risky side-by-side contact. Ducks in behind the other way. Do you get the sense that Ken is a driver waiting for a chance, waiting to pounce around here and scaring the right driver up ahead, but he has to get this one done cleanly, and he does into the carousel easily like that. Gary Sheen and David Brown, by the way, having a battle themselves further up.
Yeah, I think at this point he kind of just needs to not crash it for Ken Kurtz because he's had some trouble. Back up here in that battle between David Brown and Gary Sheehan. It's Sheehan on the inside line. He's going to drive David Brown a little wide there, and Sheehan will lock up that 4th spot, but I don't know how happy David Brown is going to be about that one. He'll get a little bit of draft as we head into turn 1. Let's see if he pulls it to the inside. He will. David Brown down to the bottom, and he's cut off there by Sheehan. That 6 car gets down in front of him, and he will hold that spot. David Brown getting a little bit more aggressive, wanting to make that move as Ken Kurtz has gotten around both Mibach and Arsham.
It's tough to get aggressive on the brakes lacking the ABS. It really is quite tough to work out how hard you want to push it, because you could just send an outrageous dive bomb into turn 1, but a very likely outcome is going to be that both of your cars end up in the grass. Nobody's happy whatsoever. Going to catch that overtake there from Ken Kurtz on the track as he is working his way up pretty well. Same driver we struggled with earlier this race, but he must have got a better exit through that tight complex. Still looking for his shot. You can see a little dent on the right front this time. He's able to make it through into the carousel. I'm finding drivers are getting more passes here into that turn than I was expecting. Usually in a lot of slipperier cars, I'm very used to things like the Formula 4, and it's really scary to mount one in there because you're just on the knife edge as you bounce over that curb going onto the other side. It's a lot easier, I think, in this car. You might understeer through the first part, but the one thing you do have is grip. You're not going to spin it out. And I think drivers are getting brave on the brakes as a result.
Yeah, this car is a lot more stable than some of those lighter Formula cars like you mentioned, so you've got a lot more weight going down into the corner. You've got a lot more grip down into the corner where, it, like you said, in maybe a Formula 4 car, really easy to clip that apron kind of at the apex of that corner, and it'll get the car all bent out of shape. And if you get even a little loose in a light Formula car going through there, it completely screws you with the tight braking zone down to this corner, and you'll end up in the dirt as Gary Sheehan has just jumped to the outside of a lap car that is having a very bad time. That is Alir Sham, who is doing a little bit of drifting there through the grass.
I think Alir Sham got a black flag. There is an incident limit, 20x, in the session, and you get a drive-through penalty. It has happened remarkably early, but I've been spotting a lot of off-tracks. He did struggle to complete laps in qualifying, and it might be coming back around for him again. Was this just going wide on the turn? Getting a little bit scared around lap traffic also can be a factor, yeah. Sort of goes off to avoid, and that's probably going to pitch him over the limit. He'll now need to serve a drive-through penalty in the pits. Once you hit 20x for this series, it's then 10x for all future incidents. Alir Sham's not going to want to rack up too many more penalties trying to get to the end of this race as we approach almost halfway.
Yeah, it's like you said, 10 incidents for every subsequent penalty, so Alir Sham is going to have to keep that thing locked down, or else he could end up in some major trouble. As David Brown is ahead of Enrique Ferreira on the racetrack, but Ferreira has that gap under 0.3 of a second and is looking. David Brown also not too far away from Gary Sheehan. We saw that battle playing out not too long ago. You know, Brown would like to get back up to the bumper of that 6 car and start a fight. But he's got to get himself away from Ferreira first. As Ken Kurtz, whoa, big moment there with Tom Peter sitting back in P8. That 5 car got majorly loose. Had to slam on the brakes to avoid colliding with Kurtz.
What's important, though, is he saved it, got it in one piece, and didn't collide with Kurtz. Here's Nick Dawson-Levin running into the pit lane. Either we weren't briefed on a pit stop requirement for this race, which could be very, very possible, or that is something unusual that I can't necessarily explain. He doesn't have an outstanding black flag. I don't think there's a meatball damage either. Keeping an eye on whether the car has maybe a fuel limitation. No, it's got its full fuel. There could be a pit stop rule. If there is, we'll see more cars go into the pit lane. We weren't completely informed, but otherwise he's dropped himself to the back. Alir Sham is serving a drive-through penalty in the pit lane, so that won't help us either find that one out, but we'll let you know what happens in due time. It's Nick Dawson-Levin, who's out the pit lane now, 19.9 seconds, definitely did stop in the box, took fuel and tyres alongside that. The race will go on.
Yeah, that's kind of promoted Gary Sheehan up to that 3rd position, so he will be the last driver on the podium right now, last driver in an interview position right now. Brown and Ferreira will look to disrupt that back in 4th and 5th, but so far neither of those cars have really been able to mount the charge they need to. Might be worth looking about 10 seconds back of Gary Sheehan at the 0-2 of Ken Kurtz there. He's got a long way to go, but we know that car has speed. We saw it in practice and qualifying, and even with a little bit of damage, he still seems to be putting down pretty fast laps. I wonder if he'll be able to challenge before the end of this one. Running out of time.
Just over halfway, lap 13 out of an estimated 24. Sounds like the estimation's going to be on the dot here as Enrique Ferreira looking for that P4 place. 3 cars in line, and I saw there wasn't a significant tow, not the sort that I was hyping up at the very least on this track. So, could just be that getting a better exit on that last turn is what really, really matters. I love this complex of corners going right up that hill, right on the balance, and then trying not to run through the gravel trap, potentially trying to catch as much of that curb as humanly possible. Up to the rear bumper, Ferreira. Still not making progress on David Brown through the passing zone we've seen. Probably don't want to make that move sort of without knowing it's going to stick. You don't want to speculatively make the move, is the word I was looking for there, because then you're going to be in a world of trouble. I think speculative dives are not the name of the game today on this track in this car with the way you can lock up those brakes. We've seen a few cars react quite poorly when given too much brake. Exit through this final turn, paddock turn, very important though. 3 attempts, he is closing,
Oh.
I have the feeling there's going to be a chance if he wants to take it 2 attempts now into turn 1. It would require a brave dive bomb. Enrique almost looks for it and then he decides better. But he is certainly within the range to make this pass happen eventually.
Alir Sham came out of the pits and then immediately went straight through the entire hairpin area and then went back into the pits. So that is going to be a pretty major penalty for him because he did just cut about half the racetrack.
I'm trying to work out where this one happens.
This is in turn. So he skipped turn 6 and 7.
So that's, I mean, that's okay. You're
6,
going
7.
off the track. Yeah, you have to get it done once a race. Trust me, if you didn't, I would. But I'm just wondering if he willingly did it, whether he kind of just totally lost control. And if you do a big cut of the course, I assume he thought he was rejoining safely around here. The problem is if you do a big cut
side by side with Brown, by the way.
You get an automatic black flag. Yes, here's the battle back again on the track, side by side into this last turn. Both have good runs. I think Fiera, though, lost a bit of time on exit, but he's close enough to now get that toe. We did see it work the first time. Evening out that advantage. He's closer this time. It could really happen. Oh, he's just not going to. But he's getting more feisty. The send into turn 1, but send it too deep on those brakes. And I think he knows it's going to be a mistake. Timothy Hunter also with a black flag for 20 incidents by the way.
That was some great defense in that final corner there from David Brown. I mean, just a great job to hold Ferreira off there and keep that car behind him. You think when you have the inside line and you go in side by side, you've got the very clear advantage through there, but David Brown did a great job to keep P4, and he's going to have to really work to keep P4 because that one car of Enrique Ferreira is just hounding him through these corners. A little bit of a lockup there from David Brown, but Ferreira took a wide line through the corner, wasn't really able to capitalize. And the one continues to look for P4 as time continues to run out. 11 minutes left in the session. And if he wants to get a podium, his chances are going pretty fast.
It's all about that last turn. It's all about how fast your exit is and how much momentum you can carry. It's true in every car around here. Faster on exit this time, Fiera. You can see him gaining already. But, I mean, the straight, it is long, but it's not infinitely long. And every time he seems to get within this sort of 2 attempts bubble.
See what they can do down.
And he is actually going to make the
He's got to move on the inside there, but Ferreira has to back out once again. David Brown gets the advantage on corner exit there in P4, and he keeps that spot locked up. Ferreira is going to have to try again. Maybe he'll wait another lap and try to do it once again as we head down into turn 1. Who knows? Let's see what happens.
I promise Sky doesn't deliberately do that. I was muted on Discord and she had to follow up. She had to follow her gap. She thought she could don't bind your Discord mute to a button on your mouse and accidentally press it and then still be going out to the stream. Let me tell you that. I forgive you. Reza Harsham is chasing down Andrew Milbush ahead. Again, we've sort of seen these two chasing each other through and through. They split up for a bit. They're back together again. The passes haven't really opened up for either of them, but I think they're going to keep trying. And I think even though there's a big gap between the fastest and the slowest driver, people are having their great battles around here.
I got a mouse that turns yellow whenever the caution comes out. It blinks a yellow light, and I think that's really nifty.
I like that. But like, I used to have like game integrations on my keyboard, and then it tanked my frames because it would check things on every frame. It was beautiful to have that for Dota for like 1 day, and then I realized like, oh, it's doing too many checks of the SDK, and it's not worth your time. 2 more battles on the road. David Brown and Enrique Ferreira still about the same as it's been. We're not seeing pit stops in the rest of the field, so I would like to know why Nick Dawson made a stop. It's what could have happened. He could have underfueled the car potentially for a qualifying run and then be very, very sad about it. That's the most likely solution. But it's leading to some lap traffic on the road as well in just this race distance alone. 6/10 for the 2 of them. Lap car around in the meantime. I think that's the free of Alir Sham does get out of the way appropriately, so these two will continue to have a battle for themselves.
I'm running out here, 8.5 minutes left in this race. As the battle starts to close in on the racetrack, Ferreira keeps trying to close in on David Brown, but it's yet to get anything. David Brown is going to get a little bit on the grass there on exit. Not as good as he would have wanted. That'll slow him down a little bit. Maybe that'll give Ferreira a chance. I don't think he's going to be able to draft enough to make anything happen down into turn 1. But he does have enough speed to get very close up to the bumper there. Sends it a little wide. Has to avoid contact. And that'll cost him about 0.2 there as he made his way through turns 1 and 2. Ferreira will have to re-rack. Try it again. Here's a battle further back. Nick Dawson-Latham up the inside of Reza Arsham. This is for P9. Ooh, Dawson-Latham right there on the inside lane. Looked like we might have contact for a moment. He's got the advantage. He's clear out of the corner in P9.
I've had a disqualification for Alir Sham. I didn't even know there was a DQ limit. I believe things like that can happen if, for instance, you go backwards through the pits or the likes. iRacing can automatically apply it to you no matter what. There isn't actually an incident limit on the race. Still, this battle raging. 3 temps again, but every time it's 3 temps, I have the feeling that Enrique's going to need to be closer than 3 temps exiting this turn in order to really get anything done. TF9 serving another black flag. The track has been brutal to some of the drivers here today. Down the straight, 3 temps. It's not going to be enough unless he wants to make a very speculative battle. Nick Dawson-Latham is racing, though, on the track. He did make that stop, but we know he's fast. He's going to track out the inside of Andrew Mirbach and struggle this time. That was defended very well. Left just about a car's width, but barely enough. And that could check up Nick now into this straight.
Here we go, swerving back and forth down that front straightaway like it's IndyCar out here for P8. Dawson-Latham with a big slide up the inside. He'll get that spot pretty comfortably, recovering from that mid-race pit stop that, if it was a strategy call, it didn't work out because he stuck back there in 8th. Ferreira still on the bumper of David Brown. Hasn't been able to make this move yet. He's right on the tail. Almost made contact with the bumper there as he locks it up to avoid contact. Going through the hairpin, turn 6 and 7. And Ferreira right back on it, back through the S's. I heard that, Howie.
I didn't say anything. But
I heard the little when I said 6-7.
Well, I did smile, but I don't think I made a noise.
It made enough of a noise that it picked up on your microphone.
Okay, well I did smile at 6-7. Okay, like I'm sorry, but we're children. I'm actually old enough to not be doing this. I'm old enough to know better than to do this. Enrique's close this time. This time he's outside that 2 temps window, but that inside going to be defended by David immediately. Big outbreak on the outside, longer way to run through the turn. Bit of a lock-up on the inside too. They're going to keep battling. You do want to have the left-hand side of the track for the upcoming turn. So if Enrique can just stay alongside, he can't. There was a real chance there, but instead we're going to come back out of single file. But every lap Enrique gets closer and closer and closer. And this time he could actually make the move where many others have alongside this race. 2 temps, 1 temps. David's doing some good defending. He's putting his car where he knows he doesn't want the other one to be.
David Brown has really been able to hold that one car off all race long. It's been some very impressive driving from the driver of the 12 to keep that what looks to be almost a faster car of Enrique Ferreira behind him for these last 10 or so minutes, not giving that car an inch. Ken Kurtz is rapidly closing up behind this battle. He's going to have a chance at 4th before this race is over. 4.5 minutes left. We're projecting 4 to go. Ken Kurtz 2.3 back. We'll see if he's able to close that gap in enough time. He was 0.7 of a second faster last time. We'll see where he is at the start-finish line. A full second at the line for Ken Kurtz, but it's Ferreira back to the outside as David Brown continues to defend the bottom. Big run through the corner there for Ferreira. If he can switch this back, it would give him the inside through turn 2. That's exactly where he'll be. That's the preferred line as we make our way down through turns 2 and 3. Ferreira's got that inside run. Can he finally get clear? No, not quite. David Brown still there at a 3.
He's going to want this line, though, Ferreira, and he gets a better run out of the turn just before a heavy braking zone, and Ken Kurtz is right on the rear, and he definitely wants a part of this one too. David Brown has defended excellently, and this time though he's going to attack Ken Kurtz, who goes wide in the turn. Just a little bit of contact, the two get away with it. He contacts Fiera up front because Kurtz is coming in like a steaming rocket behind. 3 cars are going to chase for this P4 position. I think P3 is out of touch, but this has been a fantastic battle and it's going to keep going. Brown has been fast out this corner many a lap. We know there's an advantage from being behind down the straight. Don't think anyone could make the move this lap into this turn, but now it's a 3-car chase rather than a 2-car. And we've seen Ken Kurtz move and move and move up and through the field.
And he will look for that 4th position. Won't be able to grab an interview tonight, but after 2 big spins and some big drama, he's done a great job to recover himself and get himself into a position that he can be proud of, even though he didn't grab the win tonight. Peek to the inside there for the 12 of David Brown. Thought better of it, backed out, knew he couldn't make that move on such short notice, and he'll have to continue to work as Ken Kurtz continues to hound him. Personally, if I was that 12 car, I'd be more worried on what was going on in my bumper, because there goes Ken Kurtz right into the rear of the 12 car. That was a takeout.
Less than optimal way to pass. I call that one a less than optimal way to pass, and he's had a little bit of contact. Oh, he's up the inside, and David's driving has been very, very, very defensive. We have noted this throughout the race. He's very much sort of dared Enrique Fiera to make a move, and Enrique has not gone for it. This time he's sort of done the same, barely given the car's width, but this time Ken went for it. Arguably, there was just about enough space to really go for that. So, you know, I feel like we sort of took a risk there up ahead, and that risk did not pay off. He's been sent down and around. Ken did not have any patience to try and wait for that. He's not going to have any patience for Enrique Fiera either, who locks up into turn 1. Going to give the easy clear to Ken Kurtz. He's back up to P4. He imagines this could have been a win or even a podium, but he might just have to take what he can get here.
I think Ferrero might have backed out a little bit there because he saw what happened to David Brown behind him and decided he wanted absolutely none of that.
Well, that is another thing, because potentially you can't really tell what happened behind. Only a couple of laps to go. It's a 1 minute of racing, so we're expecting the white flag for Thomas J. Pitt. We've not talked about this top 3 at all. It's sometimes the crime of having race wins this dominant, is that we don't get to talk about you. We're trying to spotlight everybody on the grid as having a good battle. White flag across the line. Thomas Pitter very, very fast. 7 seconds ahead of Austin Rahn, 6 seconds ahead of Gary Sheenan. All 3 of them ridiculously fast around here. All 3 of them not quite able to make distance. The only lap in the 1:14s this race was Thomas Pitter. Didn't happen last lap. He's been running quite a bit slower for some time, but easily fast enough to deal with the battling on the circuit today.
Yeah, Thomas Pitter has been absolutely in control of this thing all race long. 8 seconds is the gap between him and Austin Rahn back there in P2. And I mean, there has just been no catching this car. Ken Kurtz was the only driver who looked like he might have anything for him. And after those really 3 incidents now for the O2, he ended up stuck back in 4th. Thomas Peters ran a perfect race, and he's going to win because of it.
Perfect race rarely gets you a reward of a lot of airtime, but it does get you a lot of recognition that you were easily the fastest today on a tricky track that eluded many. Thomas Pitter runs away with an easy win here at Summit Point as a teammate, Austin Rahn, in the same liveried car. That is going to rock to a P2 after incidents ahead, and Gary Sheenan making it to 3rd. Ken Kurtz climbing up from a poor start to the race. He's able to make it up to P2. I think something slowed down badly there for Nick Dawson-Lovett. Is he out of fuel again? He might be. Yeah, he's running slow enough to be out of fuel again. So he's going to drop positions at the very, very end and give up those places on the line. He's miscalculated fuel twice. Make that a Team 1-2, though, here at Summit Point.
What a drive for both of those cars. I mean, it really shows that you can just stay out of trouble run your own race, stay clean with it, and at the end of the day, you'll probably be in pretty good shape.
Already drivers discussing the incident between Ken Kurtz and David Brown in the chat. I'm no race steward here. I'll just put it down as there was a lot of risk at play there, and there was a bold move and a bold defense at the same time. Can you share the track? Who knows? That's the starting grid, because this is the full screen result. It's a different button, people. Thomas Pitter wins over Austin Rahn, and Gary Sheenan makes up P3. Ken Kurtz finishes fourth over Enrique Fiera, David Brown, Tom Pitter, the other Tom Pitter, Andrew Mivach, Reza Asham, and Nick Dawson-Latham, all finishing close to the lead lap. Michael McGolligan sits back one lap. Timothy Hunter down to another shame, disqualified during the race after having a very, very turbulent day. We're not completely sure if drivers are going to show for interviews, so we'll find a way to talk for a few minutes to see if any of them show up and decide to have a chat. But any reflections on the car track combo while we wait?
I think that was a lot of fun. I think it was a pretty good mix of good racing and good just skill. We saw some good moves. It was a challenge for a lot of these drivers to actually stay on the track today, which, I mean, kind of predicted with the way this car drives and the way this track is. But, yeah, it was a good one. Did you know West Virginia was formed because it was part of Virginia that didn't want to have slaves? Fun fact.
You know, they
used to be
one
mega Virginia.
We're getting awfully in the weeds of US history that I know nothing about whatsoever today. I mean, like, listen to my voice. You can hear it in my voice, and you just go, "Hey." I mean, I didn't even know West Virginia existed before today, quite frankly, and I've learned a lot.
What did they say about it?
Learned
Almost
a lot
heaven?
about this track. I thought they made
West
it up
Virginia?
for the song, you know. Like, there was a place in Fallout. Going to give drivers just a few more minutes to potentially pass around for an interview. I believe this is part of a full championship. We only got information of the series today. If we come back here, sure, we'll have plenty more for you down the line. Just worth shouting out again that the series is brought to you by GoGoGear.com and Hengst Filtration. Got those logos in at the last minute just to make it work. We do indeed have some drivers. I don't have their names, unfortunately. We have Starboost and Zycak, which I assume are two drivers that were on the track, and I assume we will talk to them. So I'll throw you one of them, Sky, and we can work out who we're talking to on the way.
What's up? How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Can you inform us of who you are, because we do not have your Discord username?
Thomas Petrie.
Awesome, Thomas Petrie, race winner tonight with an 8-second victory. How's it feel to get that win done?
It's good. I mean, it's tough not knowing the track coming up like the day of, but yeah, this is just it's what we're gonna do all season, so it's good.
Yeah, how was the car track combo out there? Because we saw a couple cars really all throughout the field kind of have trouble keeping it on the track with how tight these race cars are. Did you experience some of that tonight?
Yeah, the car's pretty tough to drive. It's like it's a really high horsepower front wheel drive car that isn't really set up for it. So trying to manage the understeer, manage the tires, it's a bit of a challenge, but we got it done.
All right, do you have anyone to thank tonight?
My lovely wife for watching the baby while I do this.
All right, congrats on the win tonight. Do y'all have more info on the rest of the season, the rest of the schedule, where y'all are going to be running?
No, we don't know until the day of, so it's like a surprise announcement.
Okay, that sounds fun, actually. If I saw Kias at Summit Point and I did not know that we were going to be running it until a couple hours before, I would have freaked out. So congratulations to you on the win tonight.
Thanks, guys.
All right. And we are going to give it over to Howie, who is going to pull that is Austin Rahn up into the booth here in a second.
I feel so bad for pronouncing Petrie wrong. I feel really, really bad. Like, for the whole race, Peter, what was I thinking? My apologies to the whole Petrie family. But we have Austin Rahn, our second place finisher in the books, just behind your teammate, both running about as dominant as each other, but there was a lot of strife on the field today.
I missed a lot of the excitement back there behind me, but I was looking forward to a good race. I knew I wasn't catching Thomas, but Gary and Nick had me scared a little bit.
This car track combo, plenty of fun to watch, and seems to be a bit on the knife edge to drive around some of these turns. What was the most challenging that stood out for you?
Definitely, there's that technical section in the second half of the track where, with the front wheel drive, it's really easy to burn the tires. And so just managing the tires over the course of the race was probably the most difficult part.
And making your best out of all the combat around you. I know that you weren't particularly tied up in too many battles on the field.
Did you accidentally mute yourself again?
I came out to the stream, okay? And that's the embarrassing part. It's two separate buttons. Just saying, made it up from P5 with a lot of the strife happening up ahead. So you sort of had to keep your car in one place and to get it through on the track. A lot of drivers seem to have trouble on the road today. Any thoughts on just the car in general and the rest of the field around there? We're quite new to the series.
I think there was just definitely an adjustment, some adjustment period of getting used to the car, getting used to the track, getting used to racing each other. But yeah, I think I just happened to find a way through some things that could have easily collected anybody. But thankful to have made it through it. It was a fun race.
Any other thank yous or shout outs?
I just want to say thanks to everybody for putting the series together. It was a great first race. Really enjoyed it, and looking forward to the rest of the series.
Well, a good race, good finish. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in to talk as well. Second place, Austin Run.
Thank you.
So, we've given this series with just a little bit of warning, to say the least, but I think they've put on a great show nonetheless, and we'd love to see more of them on the road in these things. These things are way trickier than any of the touring cars in iRacing. We know the whole class is getting an update in the next series, but these things are something else. Check them out in the Global Fanatec Challenge in iRacing. You got to do some multi-class with some fast Cadillacs that will kill you, but in exchange, these things can quite battle like no other. Well, Maconi Entertainment brings lots of coverage from a series all around iRacing, including this weekend, the Full-Length Cup Challenge and Friday Night Lights series at Atlanta Motor Speedway, now formerly christened Echo Park. I believe that's the biblically accurate name. I'll be around for both of those, and there's plenty more on the channel, including the Dirt Sprint Car Championship series, and more to come throughout the year. So make sure to subscribe or follow on any platform that you're catching us on to catch every future race that we cover. Howie Burrows alongside Sky Shrek. Thank you very, very much for tuning in to this presentation from Maconi Entertainment. Hope to see you around on the track someday soon.